What is up, everybody? Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your favorite Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcast. Very special episode of the PHNX Cardinals podcast with every super chat donated today will go directly to Ryan's house. Johnny, Venerable, Brack. Ryan's house provides support and services to children experiencing unique life-limiting and end-of-life journeys. And so if you think of an opportunity, if you have an opportunity today to donate to Ryan's house, put that super chat in. Very greatly appreciated. If you can't give a donate, give some well wishes in the chat. Pass this link along. We're going to be doing this. We have been doing this throughout the duration of today on PHNX programming. Sun Devils just had an unbelievable outpour of wealth and support and donations. So thank you all. As we can see there, over $500 donated to Ryan's house here in the Valley, the greater Phoenix area. Brack, just a tremendous cause that we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, we're excited to finally give back to the community that we're just proud to be a part of. And Ryan's house is one of those great fixtures and charitable organizations that really gives back to those who need it. And, the competitive spirit in me says, I want to crush the Sun Devils, right? Because, I want to crush them as far as in giving to Ryan's house. They had one donation of over $400. Wow. Not asking for that. I'm asking just for a little bit. Already seeing some first super chat coming in, which is exciting. $5. Anything you can give, it's appreciated by us here at PHNX Cardinals. The whole family here, because this is such a great cause. So thank you so much already for giving, and the future donations coming throughout this show. So big tip of the cap to those already starting to get in on this. It's awesome. It's an awesome thing that we're doing here for PHNX Community Give Back.
Our friend Ryan Henney in the chat, is this going to my house? No, but you can enjoy podcasts in the meantime. We're going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals today like we do every day. And let's start, Brack. CJ Stroud had his pro day today. And you might be thinking, well, the Cardinals aren't targeting CJ Stroud. How is that relevant? Well, you can bet your sweet ass it's relevant for the third overall pick, because there is a hierarchy starting to form with these top quarterbacks. And boy, oh boy, there's Monti, Ossenfort, and Jonathan Gannon licking their chops. So we took some blurbs from the pro day today for CJ Stroud. Ohio State had their pro day filled with scouts and general managers to see the Buckeyes. CJ Stroud was almost perfect on the day throwing the football. He is by and large a top 3 to 5 prospect coming into this process. And now it's clear, has he solidified himself to the Carolina Panthers, Brack, first overall? And what does that mean for the price of the third overall pick if you're a team wanting to come up for either Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it seems like all these quarterbacks, especially when they're in their backyard, where they played college ball, and usually the perfect environments, throwing to their guys, throwing their plays, working with their coaches right there, along with the scouts from NFL teams, and playing in shorts. Everybody seems to look good. Remember back in the day, Zach Wilson was dropping people's jaws by going out there and throwing and throwing on a dime. Justin Fields looked like a very capable thrower of the football during his pro day at Ohio State. So CJ Stroud was first, right? And he has pretty much checked all the boxes. He looks like CB1 in this draft, especially where you look at where the odds are, who's the favorite. CJ Stroud is the favorite to go to Carolina #1 overall. And then you see 14 people from the Carolina Panthers organization, by far the biggest contingent in Columbus at the pro day. And you got former Cards quarterback, now quarterbacks coach of the Panthers, and Josh McCown greeting him, dabbing him up, giving him a hug. Can't wait to see you basically in Charlotte. We'll play horse. We'll play hoops.
Yeah. He basically said, like, where are you going to be living? Where'd you guys pick out a house?
You got Frank Reich. You got Scott Fitterer, the GM. I mean, you've got everybody, a who's who of the Carolina Panthers organization. And people are like, Anthony Richardson's still in the conversation. It's like, okay, sure. All right. Yeah. CJ Stroud.
Hang on a second. We want that, though. We want people.
Sure. That would be fine. But look, I mean, CJ Stroud threw 85 touchdown passes in his Ohio State career. You had Anthony Richardson throw 24. I mean, it's not even close as far as the ability to make the throws. CJ Stroud can make most of the throws. Anthony Richardson, he'd be lucky to make, some of the throws. He's a project. He's raw. So to go number 1 overall, and you got Fitterer, you just traded up. What?
You remember that?
What?
Who was that guy at the combine that called Anthony Richardson a project to his face? Was that you?
No, that was not me. I was in the back quietly just standing there watching that unfold, and Anthony Richardson just undressed this stupid reporter that called him a project to his face. But let's be honest. I mean, if everybody wants Josh Allen, and if there's some quarterback that fits the mold, it's Josh Allen. But Josh Allen could be a true testament to the skill set, or it can be an indictment, right? Because Josh Allen was a guy that was coming out of college that had a lot to work on. And to get from where Josh Allen, college quarterback, NFL draft prospect, was to where he is now, it doesn't just happen by putting in the years and putting in the work. There's a lot of hard work and a lot of things that have to go right system. But I just think that it really just looks like, to me, CJ Stroud is the guy. And I'm not alone here. And I think that still works out well for the Arizona Cardinals because you have a prospect the caliber of Anthony Richardson, with the big arm, with the athleticism, with the speed, with the size. And then you got Bryce Young, who a lot of people believe is the best quarterback. He's just undersized, and Carolina prefers Stroud. That means that, Houston has to make a decision at 2. And then the Arizona Cardinals are in a great position to, if a team really wants to take the risk and buy in on this top, prospect-wise, the guy with the best skill set in Anthony Richardson, then all right, pay the price.
Pay the price, and the price will be steep, Bo Brock. We teased it in the headline for the show. There are at least 3 to 5 teams that are going to be interested. Albert Breer, and we're going to talk about Albert Breer a little bit later on because he said some things that Bo and I probably disagree with. But he kind of floated this out in his most recent Q&A that Seattle's going to be interested, Detroit potentially, and then you've got the usual players, Colts at 4, Raiders, Falcons, Titans. And to me, it's like, and I tweeted this out today, I think Will Levis falling. I don't know if he's fallen, but he's not rising as much as these other 3 quarterbacks are. That's good for the Cardinals. We want there to be no safety net for these teams that feel like, well, we can just sit back and get the 4th or 5th best quarterback and be fine. There needs to be a clearly defined hierarchy of quarterbacks. And Stroud is in that category, presumably going 1st overall. You can't even give him even money on most sports books right now. He's like minus 125 on most sports books to get him 1st overall. Houston feels like they're on a trajectory to take Bryce Young, but who knows? DeMeco Ryan, big physical presence, coordinated that defense for San Francisco. Maybe he wants a big quarterback like Anthony Richardson. I don't think that's dead in the water. And then, of course, the Cardinals are sitting there with the key to the kingdom, the key to the castle. Like whomever's remaining, talk yourselves into and come up and get him. And we asked this question the other day, Bo Brock, and I think it bears repeating. Like the Cardinals, it sounds like, are not going to get what they initially hoped for DeAndre Hopkins, which pisses us off. We're coming to that reality. It's unfortunate, which just leads you to believe even further. Like, okay, you guys want to be, difficult with the D-Hop situation. We're going to be difficult. We're going to make this really difficult for you to be able to come up at 3 unless you're willing to pay the piper. And Monti Ossenfort, I mean, really, this is his introduction to the NFL as a general manager. You're not going to take this guy to school, hopefully. Hopefully, he's sitting back and saying, everybody come at me with their best offer. I can move all over the place. I got 16 players that are worthy of the pick or whatever it may be. My guess is they move back. We talked about it. Atlanta, Vegas is an option. Mm-hmm. I think the Titans are a very real option. They seem like they're resetting hard. And then you're talking about basically giving up your premium picks if you're that team this year and next year. The Cardinals want a bounty of picks in 2024 when they reset their scouting department. This is not, if this offseason has taught us anything, Bo Brock, this is not a short-sighted 12-day rebuild. This is not a team that's going to be rebuilt in one offseason in free agency. They're going to get every piece of key asset, resource, draft capital they can get now and into the future.
Yeah, I just wish teams that were interested in DeAndre Hopkins' services are as generous as those donating to our PHNX Community Giving Day to Ryan House. Unbelievable what's going on. You guys are crushing it. Thank you so much. As you can kind of see on our little ticker on the bottom right now, it's just under $53. Big thanks to Michael Evans, Dylan Richards. We got Andrew, Joel. You got Marcus giving, Sly. Thank you so much. Han shot first, $9.99. All these super chats go to the Ryan house. But, you know, we're not seeing that much generosity right now as far as the DeAndre Hopkins market, right? And, you know, Albert Breer has talked about it now, not one, but 2 days in a row, where he thinks that the Arizona Cardinals, and this is not, you know, in any fault of their own, this is just how the market has not materialized for a soon-to-be 31-year-old wide receiver. It's just,
I get it.
You know, I've been thinking about it about DeAndre Hopkins recently, and I'm just like, you know, the Arizona Cardinals pulled off one of the biggest highway robberies in sports history to acquire DeAndre Hopkins, right?
Sure.
I mean, it really feels like they had no business acquiring DeAndre Hopkins for a second-round pick in David Johnson's lousy contract that Steve Keim gave him. They offloaded the deal. They got an elite wide receiver that they got to give to their second-year quarterback at the time in Kyler Murray, helped him grow, got to watch DeAndre Hopkins go to work for, you know, parts of 3 seasons, right?
Okay.
Unbelievable. So it sucks that you can't get what you thought the value was. You know, they're going to ask for a first, but we're likely going to end up with a second. Now it sounds like you'd be lucky
real
to
quick,
get a third.
And Bo and I didn't fabricate that. We had multiple insiders come on this show. Jordan Schultz, Benjamin Albright,
right.
People saying they're going to get a second. They're going to ask for a first. They're getting a 2, right? So Bo and I did not come up with this. No, they have to get a 2. Right?
And I was skeptical of on the first, like, you got to be crazy because you look at all the variables that go into it. You know, and you're a cap league, and we know the history of receivers over 30 years old, and Larry Fitzgerald's the exception to it. And people want to say, why not DeAndre Hopkins? But look at, you know, the data that tells you at a certain age, you know, production falls off a cliff. I mean, just look at AJ Green's career. I mean, he was a guy who was a solid wide receiver, if not one of the top 5 for a long time. And then, 30 hits, and then production steeply declines. I think that, you know, NFL teams are wary of that. And, you know, when you look at the money that was spent last offseason at the wide receiver position, and what, you know, draft capital was handed out, it's I think that there's a little bit of a market correction there. And then there's also the variables that go into DeAndre Hopkins. It's just, you know, the Arizona Cardinals, it's interesting. Like, you start to see teams try to get creative, like Buffalo, their fan base, you know, off the heels of the Patriots the last couple of days. Buffalo's now, you know, talking their fan base into making this decision. You had a couple people who cover the team, or whether it's in a podcast or on a daily basis, work, you know, some hypothetical trades. And it's just like, I don't know if those are something that Monti Ossenfort's going to entertain right away. Don't we have one of them?
Yeah, this came from a well-established beat reporter for Buffalo, kind of, and he threw this out there. Now it's the tweet, Emma, if we could have that one. The tweet with regard. There it is. This is from Chris Trapasso, who does a good job. And he prefaced this by saying, this is just an idea. And listen, I'm open to all ideas right now. When I hear Albert Breer talking 5th and 6th round picks, scraps on the table, no thank you. This is an idea from Chris, who says, don't lose your minds. Hypothetical. Bills get D-Hop and Isaiah Simmons. 2 players that, if you listen to this podcast, I don't think will be on the team in 2024. 4, the Cardinals get Ed Oliver, 1st-round defensive tackle. Now he's got a $10 million cap hit. He's 26 years old. Cardinals don't have anybody as good as Ed Oliver. And Gabriel Davis, who's 23 years old, who's got a ton of potential, and a 5th-round pick. So I like this trade. I didn't come out and say I liked it, though, because we know how Twitter is. So I just did the
that's what he had to preface it with. He's like, don't go crazy.
No, but I think Bills fans like the deal. So
of course they
Cardinal fans had to dislike the deal. I don't know. I like getting a cheap asset, 23 years old. And I get it. Gabriel's in a contract year. Gabriel be a nice fit, I think, in Arizona. And then at Oliver, it's better than what they got. And he's in his mid-20s. It's not my favorite thing in the world. But like, when I read that shit from Albert Breer, I don't like that. I'm not into that. Give me something. But everybody wants to talk about they're tanking and the season's going to be terrible. Well, there's 2 players that can help you this fall.
No, look, and that's it, right? I mean, you're in a rebuild and you're getting 2 guys in the final years of their deals. You had Ed Oliver, who was a 1st-round pick, who it looks like they exercised his 5th-year option, and you had Gabe Davis, who was beyond 1st round. He's in the final year of his deal. So you're going to have to pay those guys. It's like, hey, it's great, controllable. ages, but do they want to re-sign in the desert? Do they want to be a part of this rebuild? For a 5th round pick, I mean, what you're looking at is what you're going to get in draft capital in return. And a 5th round pick just doesn't do it for me. Sure, those players are really good. Those players can help you win. But when you look at the roster right now, like, what does it do for you? Like, Gabriel Davis is going to be probably your most talented receiver. Obviously,
I think it gives you a lottery ticket at wideout. I think you can say this guy lit up the Kansas City Chiefs. What was that, in the divisional round for 4 touchdowns?
That was the last real good game he had.
Oh, well, listen. The Bills' passing game last year was not the same without Brian Daboll.
I got a Bills fan in the room who's like,
let's see what he can do. Daddy Fantasy had him on his fantasy team, and he had like a 200-yard game this year.
That's great.
23 years old. 23 years old.
I know. It's great. That's awesome when you think about, okay, if he's 23 and you lock him into a long-term deal, but you want to lock future monies into him?
I don't know.
Then what's the point?
Well, what's the point of keeping Isaiah Simmons around? What's the point of keeping Isaiah Simmons around?
As soon as you acquire him, what's the point?
I'm asking you the same question. What's the point of keeping
Isaiah
Simmons around?
You don't do it. Give me a higher draft pick.
We got to field the team this year.
No, I would rather them go get Jonathan Mingo in the 4th round at a Ole Miss than Gabriel Davis on a 1-year deal.
Here's why I like it. Those are premium positions in today's NFL. Receiver, and they don't have to go out and spend a premium pick on a receiver. And then defensive line. Their defensive lineman group is the worst.
Dude, I don't
That's not a hot
with
take.
You as far as that they can help you win. Are you a better team as soon as you acquire them than you were the day before? Yes. But
yeah, I think so.
Unless you say, Ed Oliver, let's put ink to a brand new contract that keeps your ass in Arizona.
If he has a great year, franchise tag him. That's fine. Gabriel Davis will re-sign with you if he likes it.
I want more. I want the highest.
You go from Buffalo, New York to Scottsdale, Paradise Valley. Fuck yeah, where can I sign up tomorrow?
Add Gabriel Davis and Ed Oliver to the long list of players that had solid final years for the Arizona Cardinals organization before getting the bag the next offseason. I just don't see the point.
Listen, it's not great. My favorite
this
thing.
This is fantastic. We got a 5th round pick to show for it. Awesome.
According to Albert Breer, Emma Hewitt, they're saying, man, maybe a 5th and a 6th round pick. This is from Albert Breer, Monday Morning Quarterback. This little nugget dropped before our show today. God bless Robert doing the Lord's work, asking this question. What the hell's going on with this Hopkins trade? Albert Breer says, I don't think it'll be what they initially asked. I don't think, not saying I know. They asked has been a 2nd round pick and another asset, 2 and a 4, 2 and a 5, 2 and a player. Based on indications I've gotten, that sort of return simply isn't coming. I do think he'll bring back more than Brandon Cooks did for the Texans. So that eliminates that fraud Dove on Twitter saying, well, it's going to be the same as Brandon Cooks for a ham sandwich. Houston got a 5th and a 6th from the Cowboys, but it'll probably be closer to that for what Arizona is looking for. So Amari Cooper was a salary dump last year, and the Cowboys regretted it and then traded for Brandon. Why are we comparing what our situation to the Cowboys' mistakes and then trying to remedy their mistakes? I am realistic on Hopkins, and I tweeted this out, Bull Brock. If you go into next season and you trade away DeAndre Hopkins for pennies on the dollar, and it's a tough ask asking people to pay more money for season tickets. You guys are pouring in the money here for Ryan's house. We appreciate you all. You just keep him around. And I've been staunchly told by people they are going to move him. Well, if this is the trajectory of what's going on, you're rolling out new uniforms. You want people to fill the stands. You want to support your young quarterback, Kyler Murray, when he comes back. You just keep him. You have the money. You have the 4th most cap space. And teams were calling you about DeAndre Hopkins this deadline. You do not play into the hand of Brent Veach and Bill Belichick offering you scraps. You say, with all due respect, get lost, right? Mm-hmm. We'll talk to you in October. We're not playing. It's DeAndre Hopkins. Can we be serious? I saw all those. Dove tweeted that out, and I saw all the little grubby fans getting on their keyboards like, ooh, make it happen, Baltimore. Ooh, make it happen. No.
Right.
We're still having a conversation. We're playing in the grown-up world. We're not giving away. I haven't been critical of Monti and Gannon thus far. If they trade away DeAndre Hopkins for nothing, I will be critical.
I agree. But I'm not. I don't think the best deal is to get a fifth round pick plus some, above serviceable players.
I've moved off of that. We're not talking about that's not happening.
I wanted to prove that I was right and you were wrong. Okay, that's all I wanted to do. No, but I mean, you saw today where teams are getting creative. I mean, you got a guy in Elijah Moore who was drafted the same year as Rondell Moore and has had like very comparable stats, right? And I know that they threw in a 3rd round pick, but you have the Jets receiving a 2nd round pick for that. I think that Monti Ossenfort can increase his return for DeAndre Hopkins by getting, maybe throwing in some draft capital of his own, but later, right? And also, let's keep in mind that DeAndre Hopkins could also restructure his deal to make this thing a lot easier, right?
We were told he's probably going to do that. Kansas City, they lost, emphasis on loss, but McCole Hardman, right, signs with the Jets today. Then we got word, Bo Brock, that the Jets are also pursuing with Aaron Rodgers, Odell Beckham, which would be, as you texted me, very helpful in these efforts. So you've got the Patriots and the Chiefs out there slumming at the wideout position, and it's like the options are dwindling, and they're not even really connected to these players. Like Hardman was never really connected to go back to Kansas City, and they've got undersized Sky Moore there, and they've got Kadarius Toney's kind of like a gadget guy. It's like we know the players. The players are set. I don't think, and I could be wrong on this, I have egg on my face, that somebody's going to come out of left field and it'll be like, oh shit, they traded for DeAndre Hopkins. They haven't been connected to him since day one. But I do think we're at a what do you call a stalemate here. And you think about ramping up yesterday with Rap Sheet, Cardinals trying to ramp it up, maybe with that tweet. I don't know.
Look, I think that we're panicking. Hopefully Monti Ossenfort is
Do I look panicked to you? Come on.
I think Albert Breer is like, shit, I thought he would be gone now, and he's not. So, I mean, the other day he was doing a mailbag question and answer, and he said, like, maybe it would be more valuable, maybe just reevaluate, and these players, if they're not fetching the value they thought they were going to get on the trade market, maybe it's more valuable for you to hold on to him, because Breer's there too. And to Brian's point in the chat, he's just speculating at this point. I mean,
who does he cover? Where does he live?
He's based in Boston, where those scumbags were saying stupid things on the radio today, but not Albert Breer.
What did they say?
The stupid idiot said something about Mina Kimes. It was a racial slur. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that I
thought they said something stupid about Hopkins for a conditional 7.
They've been probably saying stupid stuff for weeks as far as the DeAndre Hopkins things. But this thing was,
and we like Albert Breer. We dislike Albert.
He's been on the show before. He's been generous with his time, and I just think that he's got sources as far as the New England Patriots, and I think that he's probably going off of, where they're kind of digging in as far as their side of negotiation and where the Arizona Cardinals are coming from on that.
I'm not sick of the story yet because it's fascinating, but it does piss me off that we're treating DeAndre Hopkins to go for the same compensation as Cody Ford went during training camp last year.
Isn't that crazy?
Get the fuck out of here with that. You just keep him. You tell everybody to eat dirt, and we'll talk in September, October. We're not sitting here in the offseason for the Cardinals to be able to save $18 million. They're not spending money anyway. These players that they're signing, I mean, they're real people. They're real players. They're making money. They're vet minimum contracts. They have almost $30 million in cap space. If anything, you eat some of that money for Hopkins so you can get a better pick, which we detailed yesterday. They're not cap strapped. What's funny is their rookie class is going to be making infinitely more than these players they're signing in free agency. Their first and second round picks are going to make more than all these guys they've signed thus far in free agency. The first round pick's going to be able to come up to Kelvin Beachum and be like, man, my contract's much bigger than yours. So this idea that, well, they have to dump him because of money. Oh, and also DeAndre Hopkins, he's going to make this difficult. Folks, DeAndre Hopkins is not Patrick Peterson. He'll be a good soldier, and he'll get paid a premium because the Cardinals are paying him a premium. And when they have an opportunity to move him elsewhere, they will move him elsewhere. But DeAndre Hopkins has more class than Patrick Peterson had. Patrick Peterson did not handle that situation well. So this entire saga, it feels like listen, this free agent market class was bad. The draft class is underwhelming at the position. So you add those things up and you say, well, a bunch of teams need wideouts. Here's DeAndre Hopkins. But people are getting cute. People are getting too cute, Brock.
Third and some change. Are we okay? Are we starting to talk ourselves into something like that?
How about 2/3?
Fine.
How about a third this year and a third next year? That's what the price was for Anquan Bolden once upon a time, which was grossly undervalued. But when we start talking about prime. Day 3 pick, yeah, you throw in a day 3 pick as the starting point, I'm hanging up the fucking phone. Don't talk to me. Get away from me. You're off my because we're not going to be taken to task by the Brett Veaches of the world. And if you're Monti Ossenfort, okay, you've already got a reputation, fair or not, that you were part of the franchise that gave away AJ Brown. You want to be part of the franchise that gave away DeAndre Hopkins? I didn't want to have to go there, Monti Ossenfort. Handle business, please. Stay away.
I also wish that the Denver Broncos would go away with this Jerry Jeudy trade nonsense. Like,
no one wants
we want a first round pick. It's like, okay, cool.
Well, Henry said it's got to be a top 15 pick.
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
Now
and
it's
he's
like,
saying,
whoa,
and then he's saying, we love our guy Hank from DMVR, but he's saying, hey, if Elijah Moore can get you a second round pick, don't forget to mention that he came with a third round pick.
Right.
That Jerry Jeudy absolutely should get a first round pick. No, he's not, guys. He's not. He's never had 1,000 yards in his season ever before.
John Payton wants to get rid of Jerry Jeudy. That's why he's available.
Cardinals, if Hopkins was 25 years old, he would not be being dealt. If Hopkins was the age of Jerry Jeudy, he would be staying. Timelines just don't add up. Here's what does add up, though. Our partnership with the great Circle K. Listen, right now, premium place to get gas, snacks,
I'm having some
goodies.
gummy bears from Circle K right now.
Oh, tremendous. Cold beer, Polar Pops, iced coffee, 12 packs of beer, Red Bull, Monster energy drinks. Load up. It's a delicacy here in Maricopa, but it's for convenience, and we appreciate the convenience and the partnership from our newest partner, the friends and family at Circle K. Check out your local Circle K. Again, best coffee, beer, snack selections, premium gas, and I emphasize premium. Make sure you're not missing out on all that great stuff. Be sure to stock up March Madness all March long. And here's what you got to do. Head to circlek.com/store locator to find the nearest to you. They've got tons of incentive programs you can sign up for. Listen, we feel like very, humbly, PHNX synonymous with Valley Sports. Circle K synonymous with the elite, the premium convenience stores, someplace you can go, clean, friendly environment. We don't mess around with the partners that we bring on, that we choose to partner with, partners that we use in our personal life that we're proud to represent. And Circle K is a staple of the convenience store industry. The best gas prices, bar none. Check them out on their website. Again, circlek.com/store-locator, Bo.
And when you're fueling up the tank there, just get it going. Walk into the convenience store. Go to their beer section in the state of Arizona, and you're sure to find some Four Peaks beer. Ooh. Kilt Lifter, you got it there. You got the Wow Wheat, Arizona's #1 wheat beer. Can't go wrong with that. You got spring baseball going on. Spring training continues, and you got to take advantage of this. What Four Peaks has, an unbelievable ticket here. Spring baseball here, Four Peaks. They got the Wow Wheat, and they've got spring brewery tours throughout March. Pre-game your baseball outing. $25 tickets include a brewery tour, beer samples, mainstay pint, brats, chips, and a clear bag of Four Peaks swag. Nothing for $25 gets you all that anywhere any longer except for Four Peaks. Check it out. Check out their tours, their events on their website, fourpeaks.com/events. We got a great event that we're going to announce, probably involving our good friends over at Four Peaks. Can't wait to tell you more about it, but make sure to follow them on social at Four Peaks Brew and get the latest on Arizona's premier craft brewery. Remember, fourpeaks.com/events for all your beer week entertainment. Got to be 21 years or older, but get over there, watch a game, enjoy the beer, enjoy the food, and enjoy the atmosphere. Got to be 21 years or older. Enjoy it responsibly. We are just blown away by the generosity of our listeners, our viewers right now. $136, almost $137 donated, actually even more. Want to give some quick shout outs here. Sly continues to give. We got Topic 64 also saying Johnny V. What's he saying? He's saying that Johnny's in the lab. He's benching today. He's on that pre-workout. JV and Bo B are dope. 100 emoji. Thank you, Topic 64. Derek in the chat. $13.99. Thank you so much. Cliff won 11 games with this roster 2 years ago. So many injuries last year. Do you think the fan base is overreacting? I think it's a restart and not a rebuild. Not that far off. Cheers, guys. What do you think, Johnny?
I think that there are different layers to a rebuild, but I do think that the Cardinals' best players right now are too old. When you look at James, like who's the focal point of the offense going to be when Kyler Murray's out? James Conner. He's old. It's $10 million salary. Is not ideal. Zach Ertz, right, coming off an injury. They don't have enough young elite players in their prime, and that's a problem. And that was always a problem under Steve Keim. Well, why was that? Because you couldn't draft. So you're always going out and you're overpaying. You'll get some guys on the back end of their peak, but then the bill comes due fairly quickly. So while I've been on the mindset of this, I've been on the record, and Bo knows this, I think they're going to be much more competitive next year with less talent than whatever that albatross was last year at State Farm Stadium with this team. I do feel like this is a rebuild, but rebuild a team in 12 to 18 months. I think that we should be excited, assuming they get the draft capital we expect them from the trade down in the Hopkins deal, to see a bunch of young players carving out their own niche this fall at State Farm Stadium.
They should be, as our friend Frank Sanders says, hungry. They need to be hungry, because otherwise they're finding work next offseason, right? And there was the pressure and the expectations that were fallen short by an incredible amount last year, that these players were acquired for high draft capital, right? Hollywood Brown, first round pick. He's going to be a vocal point, but is the pressure on like it was last year? Can he just go out there and perform? He's in a contract year. He should be primed to have one of his better seasons of his career, even though he's not going to have his guy K1 probably to start the season at quarterback. But, he should be fine to play with whoever's throwing him the football. And then you've got guys like James Conner, and you've got guys like Trey McBride, who was the top pick from this team under Steve Keim in the 2022 draft. So maybe a little bit less pressure, because there was a ton out of those first 6 weeks last year without DeAndre Hopkins for them to make up for that absence, and they fell horrendously short. So, maybe the more pressure of like they're going to have the ability to play for a spot on this team 2023 and beyond. Hopefully that's something they respond to, instead of these expectations like, hey, we need to play well without DeAndre Hopkins, and we have to play well enough to, get back to the postseason like we did last season, because that's the expectation, and go beyond that, where I just don't, they weren't prepared for that.
You're not going to hear me say too many good things about Steve Keim on this podcast, but I do think that his heart was in the right place of trying to win every year. He just didn't know how to do it. And I think he got into some bad habits once upon a time with Bruce Arians, that they just felt like they had to go all in continually, right? Like, we can't draft the heir apparent to Carson Palmer. We got to try to win next year. We got to try to get a player that can win us a Super Bowl. We got to try to sign X amount of players. And I appreciate that. But the problem was they didn't do the dirty work, the necessary work in the months of April and May in the NFL draft to be able to sustain all of their splashy additions, right? They didn't have the income in April and May to back up all the credit card transactions that they had in March. And so what happened was you had significant crashes and burns. You had significant crashes and burns following Arians leaving, and then obviously this coming season where everything that was a house of cards fell down, no pun intended. So I just feel like we've talked about it, Bo. They have never done a true traditional rebuild. They've always said retool. Michael Bidwell's used that word. And now it's really like, okay, I brought in some really good football people. That's not me saying that. That's objectively looking around the NFL landscape, talking to people at the combine and saying, oh yeah, Monti Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon, Dave Sears, they're really well-respected guys. I know this definitively. All these moves that you're seeing now trickling out about firings and people being reassigned, that's not Michael Bidwell. That's, for the first time, these new people putting eyes on this franchise and said, hey, that's not good enough. We need to change that. That should make you feel good. That's bigger than, well, we got to go spend money in free agency. This is baby steps with this franchise. And you might think, well, they're a $5-6 billion franchise. Why do they have to take these steps? Because they've never been open to it. And Michael Bidwell's really never been shown how. And now we should take solace in that. Is that going to lead to the postseason in 2023? I don't know. Probably not, but who knows? But it's a foundation that should be built on sustained success, not we got to go all in for this year before we go back into irrelevancy for a half a decade.
Yeah. When you look at the 2013 season, I mean, you talk about not wanting to say, or pat on the shoulder the previous, GM and Steve Keim, but working in concert or collaborating with Bruce Arians.
Yeah.
That was the highest level he was constructing these rosters. And what did they do that year, right? They churned that roster, right? And they built correctly. Like they signed Jared Valdir away from the Raiders to become your franchise left tackle. You go out, you've got Mike Iupati, another big addition in free agency. So you shore up your offensive line. And then you've got your defensive line that features Calais Campbell. You've got guys all in the trenches that I think that they were able to kind of build around. They had a good, strong secondary. And then they had good leadership from the quarterback position that helped with Carson Palmer hitting on that for just sending a 6th or 7th round pick to Oakland at the time. But, it took them, they were ahead of schedule, right? Winning 10 games the first year under the BA. And then they started to kind of build that team. And by the end of it, they were kind of bankrupt because they were in that window where they could win at that time at 2015 when they went to the NFC Championship game, and they were chasing it and spending assets. And then by the time it was 2018, it was time to hit the reset button. And they didn't. They were like, this is a retool, not a rebuild. They should have rebuilt it. They never rebuilt it correctly. They started to try to throw paint on a house that had, its wall, its roof was caving in, the walls were falling down, and its foundation was creaky. It wasn't.
Think about some of these moves that they've made. Like, they have used how many premium picks on undersized wideouts and off-ball linebackers?
Yeah.
Those positions are not valued. And the Cardinals under Steve Keim, draft after draft after draft, Kevin Minter, Dayon Buchanan, Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, Hassan Reddick was supposed to be an inside backer. That happened during Keim's tenure. And then you double that down and you say, okay, well, what about the line of scrimmage? You know who their only first-round lineman that they've taken outside of Jonathan Cooper is DJ Humphries. He's still on the team. And then you have to go, no second-round lineman to speak of. Then it's Josh Jones, defensive lineman in the first round, Robert Kimdichie. That's it. They didn't prioritize the premium positions. So I'm going to say it's probably pretty alarming and surprising that they haven't had to blow this up sooner when you think about the poor-ass investments that they've made.
Well, I think that's also, Kyler Murray, that's a testament to Kyler Murray and what 100%. He was able to do, and a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, and they were able to elevate this roster that just wasn't fit to truly compete. Now, here's where I get excited. You're like, oh, well, I'm pretty disappointed that it's taken this long and that they didn't realize that. And then we see this little nugget as far as confirmed visits by draft prospects. Woo! And what does this list tell me? By God, I'm giddy. Look at that.
Good players.
Will Anderson, defensive end. Anthony Bradford, offensive tackle from LSU. You got a defensive tackle from Florida. You got an offensive tackle from Maryland. You got Paris Johnson, who just had his pro day at Ohio State, an offensive lineman. Defensive tackle from South Carolina. Center from Minnesota. Defensive end from Texas Tech. My God, Johnny, let me take my glasses off here and clean them real quick. Are they looking at the trenches? Are they looking to build the trenches for once and forever?
And for everybody who's like, what about Jonathan Mingo? He plays wideout. He is a fucking horse. He's almost 6'3". He's a monster.
Do you know who they comp him to?
I don't know. Who did they?
Anquan Bolden. I mean, that's lofty. That's lofty, but he's physical like that. He is 6'2". He's probably a day 3 guy. So they're just doing their homework on somebody that might be. They're not going to use their first or second round pick on a wide receiver.
Can we see that one more time? Let's check out these prospects one more time. First of all, I love that Will Anderson is first, right? Yeah. I know this is alphabetical, but it's just something very poetic about that. There is Tyree Wilson on this list. We know that they did meet with him at the combine. So it's, take that for what it's worth. He is also a monster among men. He's an enormous human being. But then we talk about John Michael Schmitz on this show. Now we know the Cardinals like him. Like that sweet spot. You got to probably get back into the first to get him. But man, oh man, should he fall? Paris Johnson, who I just saw on PFF draft, tweeted out, gave up 1 pressure, 1 sack in like all of his many, many snaps at Ohio State. Sign me up for that. offensive lineman from Ohio State, not named our boy, the center, Billy Price, seemed to do pretty well. But yeah, it just they're prioritizing what good teams prioritize.
Yeah.
And again, that's not a knock on Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons. They can't help where they're drafted, who they're drafted by. But what I know is that this franchise has been built incorrectly for too long, Bo Brock.
Yeah. I mean, Will Anderson is probably the top stick and pick option for the Arizona Cardinals, right?
Yeah.
No doubt about it. So there he is. You're talking to him, probably the top non-quarterback in this draft, stick and pick candidate. You got Anthony Bradford, offensive tackle from an SEC school, 3rd or 4th round pick. So they're doing their homework on him. Gervin Dexter, just a freak out of Florida, a guy who played under new Arizona Cardinals defensive backs coach Patrick Toney at Florida, where he was the DC. Talked to him during coach's day for the Cardinals, and he agrees. He's a freak. 6'6", ran a 4.8. 40 at his size. And then you've got tackles, offensive tackles. Paris Johnson, there's plenty of tape out of him doing his pro day today. He's a freak. As you mentioned, 1 quarterback pressure. That's not even a sack during his tenure at Ohio State. I mean, sign me up for that. Jonathan Mingo compared him to a big physical wide receiver. Zach Pickens, defensive tackle out of South Carolina, another SEC guy. Tyree Wilson, unbelievable prospect at 6'6", and then John Michael Schmitz, the center, that big position that they've been looking to fill forever. And then do they like Devin Witherspoon as CB1 in this draft if they trade down out of the top 5 at Illinois? Somebody Daniel Jeremiah has as his top CB prospect.
Don't let the school fool you. Devin Witherspoon's a big-time player. And we know the Cardinals liked him. They met with him at the Combine. The Albert Breer article just keeps growing. And Dove now reporting via Albert Breer that the Patriots currently are out on D-Hop.
Okay.
So think of that what you will. Probably out on the price for DeAndre Hopkins.
Enjoy the Mac Jones to Juju Smith-Schuster connection. It's going to be elite.
Yeah, enjoy the top 10 pick next year. But again, it's not done until it's done. But man, this little Albert Breer article that came out right before the show, it has 17 little nuggets in here. Mm-hmm. But he's basically connecting the dots. The Chiefs have shown interest in Hopkins and Beckham. There's speculation that they could add both. But as the Hopkins situation is, I don't think predicated on what Beckham does, but it would help immensely if Beckham were to go to the Jets. If Beckham were to just sign and go there with Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully there's some continuity there. But yeah, this Hopkins situations, man. At what point did an all-pro receiver who's had some issues, right, last couple of years, not be worth a day 2 pick? That, to me, if he's one of the best receivers in the NFL and his contract can be managed, I just don't get that, Bo.
Yeah, I don't either. I like it. Was it LVL7? Zay Flowers is a Patriot. They'll be fine. This is they're just going to have to wait it out. They are, and they're just going to have to be patient with it. And, Breer is dialed in, as we mentioned earlier, and with the Patriots, and I would think that that's legit. And look, when Juju went to the Patriots, it was a massive hit to the D-Hop to New England potential. But there's still going to be teams, once the dust settles on this free agency and they haven't filled the wide receiver room up to what people believe you need to have it at this point to contend, then they're going to come calling. And, I think when push comes to shove and somebody's looking for a player the caliber of DeAndre Hopkins and he's right there for the pick, and that they're going to be willing to pay the price. It's not going to be a premium price any longer. But like you said, day 2, it seems like you shouldn't get too far away from that.
No. And again, I think there's going to be some confusion of, well, you said this and this didn't happen. The Patriots have been linked to Hopkins because they've been keeping track of his market. The Dallas Cowboys checked on Hopkins multiple times. They just are going to end up potentially with different players. Kansas City is still linked to Hopkins. They have been the favorite or co-favorite all along, per Benjamin Albright on this show. So it's like, if just because they didn't end up in a specific place doesn't mean that all those teams reached out. Everybody reached out. Cleveland might have reached out, but we know definitively Dallas, the Giants, New England have reached out to the Cardinals on the availability of DeAndre Hopkins. And Monti Ossenfort has given them a price, and everybody thus far has balked. And that's where we're at. So I can't bang on Monti Ossenfort too much, because if we haven't conceived a deal yet, and nobody's willing to offer what he's asking for, that tells me what he's asking for is worth something. He's not giving DeAndre Hopkins away, Bo.
No. And the Patriots, I mean, they have a ton of draft capital that they're not going to make every pick. There's no chance that Bill Belichick is going to draft, 11 draftees and roster a bunch of rookies as he's trying to turn the corner for the first time in a long time. So I think that when it comes down to it, he'd probably be willing to renegotiate or open up conversations and negotiations. And Andy Reid and Brett Veach, the GM down in Kansas City, are probably just being patient and saying, hey, let's just let this work out. And then things will kind of come back to some middle ground to where, they'll probably pick up the phone and see if they can take advantage of a first-time general manager, Monti Ossenfort. But so far, he's not budging, and he's going to want to get close to what their asking price was.
Nothing that the Cardinals have done this offseason has hampered their future. Their future is intact. Whatever this vision is of Ossenfort and Gannon, lockstep, and trust me, they are lockstep. We saw them at the Combine. We've spoken to Gannon. We've had an opportunity to connect with people in the know. They're running the show here. All right. They're signing a bunch of vet minimum guys to help get them through 2023. Maybe some stick, maybe they don't. They want to draft a sustainable winner. And they're not going to compromise that. But they also are smart enough to know, I would hope, the optics of trading away Hopkins for pennies on the dollar. Let's talk about the optics of me eating at Burrito Express, because it's legitimately one of my favorite things to do. So I've had a lot of burritos in my day. I'm from the Midwest, but I've been out west for some time. And Burrito Express, their breakfast burrito, is my favorite burrito of any kind I've ever had. They've got this secret green sauce. I'm sure Bo knows where I'm going with this. Yes, it's green salsa. They do something special with it. They won't give me their secret. But if you haven't checked out Burrito Express, one of their many locations here in the Valley, it's the best burrito you can get for the best price imaginable. We are so fortunate to partner with them because, again, anytime I can go into the PHNX headquarters, the studio, and there are those sweet, sweet burritos available, I steal multiple. Then I go and I pay them because it feels too good to eat without giving them money. And right now, Burrito Express now has 2 NIL athletes. ASU football player Elijah Badger, watch out, and then softball star Jasmine Hill will receive support in cash, clothes, and, of course, burritos. True to the Valley, as is we are, Burrito Express, so fired up to continue our partnership. And unlike a lot of these faceless corporations, go check out Burrito Express on Twitter. They interact. They give away free shit. They are awesome, awesome partners. We love Burrito Express.
Yeah, try to change his mind about Kyler Murray, though. I wish our guy over at Burrito Express was a little bit more supportive of QB1.
But you know what? But they speak their mind.
He does. He does. And he makes great burritos. And that's what we want from him, right? To communicate and make amazing burritos over at Burrito Express. I had the Burrito Supreme earlier this week, the chicken one. It went crazy. Also, another thing that goes crazy is more furniture. Just had my mom in town. She stayed in our guest room, and it is completely furnished by More Furniture. Just went to town on it because the prices were so solid. We got the white glove delivery. They went in and set up our guest room and made it just as solid as you can possibly get. Get your kids' room. Get your bedroom. Get your dining room. Get your living room all squared away with More Furniture and their white glove delivery. We received our office furniture that way. They set it up. Our office looks great. We wish we could take more credit for how it's set up, but it's all thanks to our friends over at More Furniture. Save more on the best. Save big on the best furniture in the Valley. When you head to morefurniture.com, it's morefurniture.com. Also check them out. Their brick and mortar location out there, 44th Street in McDowell. Just check out their showroom, and you'll see all the great stuff that they have. They got custom furniture that you want to get into, and you can talk to a lot of the salespeople out there that are going to give you all the insight you need on what the best purchases for your house, your condo, your apartment, and how you can get it looking great.
I'm pulling up the Kansas City Chiefs draft picks because I feel like right now.
Did you pull up their wide receiver room? It's a little thin.
Yeah, looks like, never mind. I was going to make a crude joke there, but I'm not going to do that. All right. So it's not great. Let's just say it's not, it's very Cardinal-esque before they got DeAndre Hopkins. Let's just say that. All right. So they got pick 31, not an option. Pick 63, which I think a lot of fans would still be up in arms about because it's the end of the second round. That, I don't want to say that's not an option, but maybe that's dwindling by the day. So then they have pick 95, which is still in the top 100, right? Myjai Sanders, Cameron Thomas were drafted around that era. I think Myjai Sanders was like pick 100, and we think Myjai is going to be a good player. So that's pick 95. John Brown also went at the end of the third round. Then they have pick 122 from Miami and pick 134, which is their fourth round pick. And then they've got a fifth, 168. So conceivably, is 95 and 122 doing it for you right now? Would you take that right now today? I want everybody to answer that.
122. Well. So you said a third and a fourth round pick?
Yeah, but it's Miami's fourth, so it's a little bit earlier. Yeah. But it's the last pick in the third round before the compensatories kick in, which San Francisco has like $1 billion. And then the fourth round pick is the Miami Dolphins. So 95 and 122. Again, those for this team, those should be contributors next year. Guys that make the 53-man roster, that dress, that get on the football field.
I think I pulled the trigger on that deal. It gives you double-digit draft picks, right? And it's 2023 for sure. Yeah. I think that, yeah, absolutely. A little bit more trust in the front office that's making the selections to find some potential impact makers there in the third and fourth rounds. I think that's what. Unfortunately, yeah, you're not getting what you initially asked for, but what the market has kind of yielded here for the Arizona Cardinals and DeAndre Hopkins, that seems to probably be top market value at this point you can get for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins.
I like some of these comments here. Our guy Brian, give me 95, which is the late third, and a conditional 2 next year. I think you got to be creative like that as well. If you're not doing what Bo and I discussed, it's a 2 or a 3, and then a conditional pick yet next year based on playing time. So if DeAndre Hopkins goes off, and you know he will with Patrick Mahomes, hitting incentives, a third goes to a second goes to a third, whatever you want to do based on playing time. I'm open to that as well. And I think that you leave it up in the air, that helps settle optics a little bit. If you say if DeAndre Hopkins plays in 15 games, it goes from a 3 to a 2. If he gets 12, if he makes a Pro Bowl, if he gets 1,200 yards, I think you put all those caveats in there, just like when Wentz was playing for the Colts and they got that caveat from Philadelphia. And then didn't the Colts purposely sit him or something to that effect so they didn't have to pay the price tag? I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs would have an issue with that tomorrow. So it does feel like if it's a starting point right now, it's a third, which is disappointing, but who knows? It's not done until it's done. What I can tell though is it does feel like, Bo Brack, that expectations are still, I think, a little bit unrealistic. I see on Twitter a lot of people saying, well, don't give him away unless it's a first. The Cardinals, and let's talk about this. The Cardinals got Hollywood Brown for a first last year. Well, the price tag was different. I mean, it just was. Receivers were going for a lot more. And that was the Steve Keim trade as well. I mean, Hollywood Brown, we viewed him as an ascending player, didn't have the best year, and he's still on his rookie deal. It's part of the reason Jerry Jeudy presumably could go for more picks than DeAndre Hopkins. It's because Jerry Jeudy's young, and you could feel like, okay, we're going to get maybe 4 to 5 peak years. Whereas like with D-Hop, yeah, he's going to excel next year, assuming he goes to a place that's competent. But DeAndre Hopkins may only have 2 good years left. So is that worth it for these teams to pay a premium pick?
Well, when you're a team with the window that the Chiefs have, and when they lose a Hardman and they lose Juju, a guy who made big plays for him down the stretch, he was the one that James Bradbury was flagged for the hold that was so crucial at the end of the game. That won the game for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. They've got Travis Kelce, who's older than Zach Ertz, which would surprise a lot of people. But, Travis Kelce is getting a little long in the tooth, and he is their wide receiver one, even though he plays the tight end position. You got to get him some help. But this window, it's cracked open probably for the next 1 to 2 years, and then you've got to reconfigure some things for Patrick Mahomes, which he's fully capable of doing, just like Tom Brady did at one point, where he went through a lot of team facelifts where he was the mainstay. But, why not do it at this point? It's going to cost you, those picks that you mentioned, a third and fourth. I think that's well worth it because they don't feel like Sky Moore's ready just yet. Why not, pit him with, wouldn't DeAndre Hopkins open up some options for a speedy second-year receiver and Sky Moore? I think that it just makes you better, and it's just nightmare fuel for opposing defensive coordinators.
Did you see this Hopkins thing? Did somebody just send this to you? I got this from my guy Hiding Out Now on Twitter. I think it's been deleted. Hopkins on his Instagram story within an hour posting a video with the caption, and it's a song title from Bob Marley, but said he was a Buffalo Soldier. Did we talk about that already?
I saw that, and I just didn't. I think it's just him hanging out, listening to some.
But why would he delete the tweet? Why would he delete the Insta post then?
Yeah, because people are like, "Oh, Buffalo Soldier, Buffalo Bills," probably, right?
If I'm Hopkins, I don't care about that.
Yeah, but
I want everything to mean something, Bo. Come on now.
What if he just likes a nice, a classic by Bob Marley?
It's true. I mean, we all do. We got tremendous donations. Super chat, Michael with the $20 super sticker. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Sly, all the drinks. I've been making this coffee last, my guy, because of all of your $1 super chat, super stickers. You guys are fantastic. We're going to keep this party going for a little bit longer. But again, everything today is going to Ryan's house. The donations are fantastic. We appreciate all of you, even those who can't donate but are here in the spirit of what Ryan's house wants to do, are able to do here in the Valley. Listen, as a father of two kids and a daughter who's been in the Children's Hospital here locally, healthcare workers, they hold a special place in my heart. They do God's work, and it's phenomenal. So again, if you're able to contribute to Ryan's house, the donations have been fantastic between this show, ASU earlier, the rest of PHNX programming today. Really special. So we appreciate all of you. Let's keep the conversation going. This is a $5 super chat from Jalen Blair. Thank you so much, Jalen. Would you do the trade of D-Hop and Cards third rounder? So the Cards have to trade a pick. 66 for KC, pick 31. On draft value chart, it levels out to about a mid-second. I absolutely.
That's and then the creativity that I encourage. I love it. Makes a lot of sense. The Cardinals, they're getting a comp pick, right? So they've got another third rounder. So why not, trade it up to get a second rounder? I think that's a great idea, right? Or a first rounder. Why not?
That pick could be John Michael Schmitz, or you can take that pick, trade down. Somebody wants to come up to get a quarterback, fifth-year option, start to dabble a little bit. And I love that creativity. You guys are fantastic today in the chat as we keep this party going. But let me ask you this question, because it's been floated out there, the Isaiah Simmons fifth-year option. We've seen other people get their fifth-year option picked up. There's a lot of heavy speculation. Fifth-year option for Isaiah Simmons, it's a no-brainer. It's hard for me to be objective about this because he spurned us twice. Do you think it's a no-brainer?
No, I certainly don't. I think that he's a guy that can be an impact player, no doubt about it. But this is a brand new coaching staff that's coming in. They still don't know. Jonathan Gannon admittedly doesn't know which or where he's going to deploy a player the caliber with the versatility of Isaiah Simmons. And he's going into his fourth season to just lock in for $12 million for the 2024 season. I think that's probably something that this organization doesn't want to do. It doesn't want to commit future monies to unknowns, right? It wants to, if anything, it wants to err on the side of caution and err on the side of having, almost a blank slate outside of Kyler Murray going into the 2024 offseason. So unless Isaiah Simmons is blowing them away between now and May 2nd, as far as, OTAs and how he's,
Do you think that's what they're waiting for? Like, let's at least be objective and see him on the field during OTAs?
Maybe. I mean, but he would, how can you blow people away? I mean, a lot of people look great in shorts, right? I just don't, I'd be kind of shocked if it happened. Wouldn't you? Yeah. I don't think it's an easy decision. I push back on that. I mean, I know that he is a game-changing caliber player, right? But as far as where Monti Ossenfort comes from and what the organizations he's worked for and how they don't pay that type of money to, off the ball linebackers, I don't think that that's something that they're in the business of doing. And, they're not the guys that are on the hook for drafting Isaiah Simmons in the top 10, 8th overall in the 2020 draft. And it's just, I like him as a player. I think that he has a chance to burn you like Hassan Reddick did. But still, there's a lot left that you want to see from Isaiah Simmons that you haven't seen, and that you don't have enough. Like, there's not enough there to say, okay, well, this merits a $12 million contract in 2024. But look,
I think it's
could he be a guy that they don't pull the trigger on the 5th-year option and has a solid season? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you go and look up his ESPN statistics page, and I think that's what a lot of non-Cardinal fans do when you bring his name up. It's gaudy stats. But now, they weren't always at the right time. He made tackles downfield, and he's been benched. And good, everybody knows, goodness, that Vance Joseph put him out of position. He's playing slot corner. And I think we want to give players the benefit of the doubt. And I'd be a hypocrite to sit up here and say, well, I disliked how Vance Joseph dealt with a lot of young talent. And I also just dislike, Isaiah Simmons for some reason. To me, it goes back to the fact it's not a premium position. So why are you paying a premium for it? They would rather find a late to mid-round pick or an undrafted guy to come in and play inside linebacker for him. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's their staple. That's their MO. Both of their backgrounds, Ossenfort and Gannon. If you got teams like Buffalo and other organizations that value the position more, and you could say that's right or wrong, whatever. But $12.5 million for a team that is not signing anybody to even anything close to that this offseason.
Right.
I don't see it happening. I don't see it
TJ
happening.
Edwards was the top middle linebacker probably on the market this year, right? Didn't he get 3 for 18? 3 years for $18 million from the Chicago Bears, who had a ton of cap space. You can look at the Edmonds contract too from Buffalo going to Chicago as well. He got a ton of money.
The benefit of having an inside impact linebacker has never outweighed the resources that you have given to the position. Like, what's the best case scenario for Isaiah Simmons? He turns into Fred Warner overnight, which is highly unlikely. This team is not a Fred Warner away from competing. This team needs a ton of stuff. So I think that you take the gamble of, he'll probably have a nice season and he'll get paid and we'll get a comp pick and we'll figure it out and we'll free up that money to, Isaiah Simmons is going to become a Hall of Fame inside linebacker in his mid-20s. It's possible. Certainly it's possible. I could also go 3 inches overnight. That's something that could conceivably happen as a 36, 35-year-old man, but I'm always probably going to be 5'6". If anything, I'm going to probably get shorter as I grow older. That's the reality. Is Hassan Reddick was a pass rusher and got the sacks needed to go out, and he still had to go take a 1-year deal with Carolina. Isaiah Simmons doesn't rush the passer. He plays inside linebacker. Teams don't value that position anymore. So everybody who talks about, well, this is going to be another Hassan Reddick situation, it's not, because they play different positions.
We've got our guy, the GM, Saul Bookman, jumping on. What's up, Saul?
Yeah, I thought the Cardinals chat was like big time, man. I thought we'd be flowing in the dough for this charity today. 220. The ASU Sun Devils guys just poured in almost over $500. Am I right, Emma? Yeah, over $500, and I think they had like 50 people watching their show. You guys got 250. Come on, people. We could do better than that for the kids.
Well, we had a legend, absolute legend in the Sun Devils chat drop $420.
No, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. And I thought we had some legends in here. Let's go, baby.
We absolutely do. Everybody that's been so generous with the over $220 so far, thank you so much. All of these are going directly to the Ryan House. Absolutely, we encourage more donations. If we always want to beat the Sun Devil. We want to beat every show here as far as the donations. We want to walk with our chests held high here, puffed out, saying, hey, we got the most for Ryan's house. But we're so thankful so far for the donations. Was it over 35, Emma, that we've had so far?
Wow.
So people are giving anything they can. It's much appreciated.
I heard, and you can confirm this or not, Johnny, but I heard if we had over $600 worth of donations, you would take off your shirt and flex for the people. That's what I heard.
Oh man.
By the pool, probably. I don't know.
Oh wow. I don't want to break the camera. Listen, we appreciate all of you. We're having fun, and we're doing it for Ryan's house today. Let's keep the party going. Let's get those donations flowing. And let's talk a little NFL draft. Producer extraordinaire Emma, can we see our NFL draft order, please? As we kicked off the show today, Bo Brock, Johnny Venerable, and we talked about the ever-changing landscape of the 3rd overall pick and the major players that could be coming in to trade up to 3rd overall. You've got, of course, the aforementioned Colts with Jim Irsay, who's liable to do anything. It's a little bit of a wild card. Vegas, Atlanta, Philadelphia. Or excuse me, not Philadelphia, but Vegas, Atlanta, and then the Tennessee Titans, Brack. Anything from CJ Stroud's pro day today that leads you to believe, well, maybe somebody else could jump in?
No, I mean, as far as for Carolina at number 1.
Yeah, remember, because they said Carolina said, well, we might trade down. We could trade down.
But then you had Josh McCown and Frank Reich and their entire brain trust go up to him and talk about when he's living in Charlotte, when they're going to play hoops together. And it seems like it's outside of the card being submitted. It's a foregone conclusion that CJ Stroud is going to be a Carolina Panther. It's like, what is it? CJ Stroud, you are a Carolina Panther. I mean, unless Anthony Richardson goes and shows like just the ability to throw unlike we've ever seen before, that we've seen on tape, see him play at Florida. Like, I know that they have a history with a player just like Anthony Richardson playing the quarterback position with his size, his athleticism. But Cam Newton was more of a proven commodity, a Heisman Trophy winner, national champion, than Anthony Richardson, who played at a mid-Florida program last year that had, 24 passing touchdowns in his collegiate career. I mean, CJ Stroud, it seems to me like he's the guy. And, the Arizona Cardinals are still in a solid position. Like, you can continue to say that Richardson's in the conversation and Carolina might not have made, the final decision on it, but it seems like CJ Stroud's the guy. So now it's like Houston, they're just trying to make a decision. Do they like AR or do they like Bryce Young? Do they want the size or do they want the tape and somebody who's performed at the collegiate level and Bryce Young? It's still a solid position for the Arizona Cardinals to be, because there's 3 perceived top 3 picks, right? In Richardson and Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. And if Stroud, as the calendar continues to get closer to the NFL draft, it seems like Stroud's the guy. Now it's up to the Texans and whatever team wants to pay the price to get up to 3 with the Arizona Cardinals.
It does feel like Will Levis, too, is falling into that next tier. Like, he could be a Kenny Pickett-esque QB that probably goes in the late teens to early 20s. It doesn't feel like there's a sense of urgency to go up and get him. Now, it only takes one team to fall in love with him, and I don't think we've had Kentucky's pro day yet. But there's no bigger riser in the draft than Anthony Richardson. We saw it firsthand at the Combine. He's a specimen. He's almost double Bryce Young, frankly, but he's not as polished. But I think you could get him on the field next year and do a lot of creativity with him, moving the football around in the running game, play action. Indianapolis, who has a tremendous running back in Jonathan Taylor, that does seem like a natural fit there. And I don't root for Will Levis to fail, but it doesn't benefit the Cardinals with 4 quarterbacks to be in that hierarchy. We want 3. We want it to be an exclusive club, right? Where you got to get the last key to the kingdom and you got to get it at pick 3. Donate to get Johnny to take his shirt off. Listen, I'm not quite ready for that yet. This dad bod's not camera ready yet. But man, oh man, we got so many big announcements coming up where you can see and hang out with Bo and I in person. We got more information coming up soon. I'm talking soon, pertaining to our NFL draft party where you all can come and party with Bo and I Thursday night at the NFL draft. That announcement is forthcoming. So even though we can't tell you where it is, just chalk it up to my evening is full. I'm going to be hanging out with Johnny and Bo and PHNX Cardinals for the NFL draft. We're going to be doing a live show. You're going to be able to interact. We're going to have some beers, maybe some wings, maybe some nachos, Brack. Those are my 2 favorites. Have a great time as we really it's kind of this is the reintroduction of the Arizona Cardinals as we know it, with maybe a Will Anderson. Hello. And we want to spend it with you. So keep it locked in. April 28th is the first round of the NFL draft. 27th, as I butcher that live on air. April 27th, Thursday night, the NFL draft, the 27th, here in the Valley. If you're here in the Valley, Bo and I want to party with you, and we're going to be able to tell you when and where pretty soon. So keep it locked in. Circle it. Make sure everybody's got their name on the guest list, and we're going to have a great time, Bo.
Yeah, and if you listen to other PHNX sports podcasts, you might get a little insight of where it could be. But it's going to be an absolute banger of a night, hanging out, watching the Arizona Cardinals usher in the new era of football. And are they going to stick and pick? Are they going to trade down? Are they going to be in on offensive linemen. I posted the Arizona Cardinals current, the 12 offensive linemen, the dirty dozen offensive linemen that they have on their roster. And
how's it looking?
Some help. It needs some PEDs. It needs some performance enhancers. That's what it needs, right? I mean, you've got DJ Humphries, when he was healthy, he was solid at the left tackle position. Then you got Dennis Daly that everybody was up in arms about yesterday. Like, look, Dennis Daly might not even make this roster, the guy who's playing most of the left tackle for the Tennessee Titans. He's going to have to fight for a roster spot. I know it says he's on a 2-year deal, but we know nothing is guaranteed really in the NFL, especially guys signing deals like Daly did. And then you got Marquise Hayes, who's coming off the knee injury. You got from Oklahoma at the guard position potentially. You got the City Smith, who saw some guard action, plus could play some center. You got Josh Jones, who could be in there, probably your swing tackle. We'll see if the new regime wants him to play a little guard, go back to that where he wasn't successful under the old one. You got Helda Froholt, who is your starting center as of right now, who came over from Cleveland.
That's not a real player.
You got Hayden Howerton, who you also signed this offseason. You got Will Hernandez, who you brought back, Kelvin Beachum, Josh Jones, and then you got a couple guys, 3 guys who were practice squad guys last year. So they're just a bunch of Jags as of right now for the most part. That's, DJ Humphries and Kelvin Beachum, I think you can give them a little bit more credit than that. Maybe Will Hernandez, your 3 returning starters, but just a guy is mostly what you've got an offensive line unit comprised of. And it's fine. They've got, starting experience, they have NFL experience, but they're placeholders for draftees. So when you see a guy like Paris Johnson, you're like, that would be nice. That would be nice to kind of help if you trade down, bring in just a big, run pass blocker, a guy that can do it all. That's big, physical, quick, does everything that you want the modern day tackle to do. And it's like, well, you got tackles now. It's like, no, but this is about the long play, not the short-term play.
Derek Fife in the chat, $6.99 super chat. Thank you so much. You think the Rams are in full Caleb tank mode? I think so. I just think they're too well coached with Sean McVay. They're too competitive with him. I don't think they'll ever be in a position where they're going to get the first overall pick. We've seen it with the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals were so bad last year. And remember where the Cardinals are picking. They're still third. I mean, there were 2 teams ahead of them for a reason. You got to be bad from September to January. That's pretty difficult. Bo takes it off at 300. Listen, I'm gonna leave that up to my counterpart here. PHNX Cardinals $2 super chat. Thank you, Sly. Cardinals topless Tuesday. I think we're losing viewers every second. That is risk.
Yeah. I've got the Southwest Bias shirt under here. If that's what you want to see, that's what I'll take it off for. Johnny, stop.
This non-PHNX Cardinals polo. I can't. There you go.
Just watching you unbutton and then you show a little skin with a little. Listen, you got some ice too. I mean, what's going on under there?
This is the Italian horn right here, 24 karat gold. That is not. Put it back. PHNX Sports. Listen, this is for Ryan's
donate
house.
To keep our clothes on too. There's
right. That's what I was about to say. Can we talk about incentivizing us not to take our clothes off? Come on now. We're too busy podcasting. It's hard to be in the lab every day. We got competing priorities here. Let's get to some more football super chats, some more football questions. Hammer them in, send them in. Again, everything goes to Ryan's house today. Benefits Ryan's house and the phenomenal stuff that they're doing here in the Valley. Again, if you've got kids, if you got children impacted, you want to help out, give what you can. We appreciate it. Classy nasty. It is getting nasty in here. As VP of Creative Content Espo just messaged me. I rock the Italian horn too. You love to see it, right? Us short Italian men, we do what we can. Derek, where are Frank and Damian? They coming back for the draft. We hope we can get Frank and Damian back ASAP because they are fantastic for our coverage. Bo and I are holding it down in the meantime. Derek, again, they've lost so many players. I think McVay wants him back, or McVay wants him. I think a lot of teams will want Caleb. Mm-hmm. And I think the NFL probably, Bo's got a little bit of an issue on their hands. If teams fall out of it quickly next year, it's like, do they have to watch for that? It really feels like the first time since maybe a little bit of Trevor, but Andrew Luck, where it's like the Colts purposely, it felt like tanked that season after Peyton Manning was out that it's just like, oh yeah, we want to get our meal ticket here. That'll be interesting to watch.
I don't think anybody's going to overtake Caleb Williams, but Drake May is also another top quarterback prospect that they're already starting to call these two generational type. Now, I know they say that it seems like every other draft season that you got a quarterback class like that, but it would be huge for the Arizona Cardinals because, losing will be a product of probably this offseason, right? There hasn't been a bunch of huge additions, and that's part of rebuilding. And, if they're ahead of schedule, great. But, the odds are that they might be right back in the top 10, top 5 drafting. And if you feel comfortable with what you see from Kyler Murray potentially at the end of next season, and you want to continue with him at your franchise quarterback, or you've got options like May and Caleb Williams, or you've got a high draft pick that a quarterback hungry team's willing to, pay a premium for, you're right back there trading down and getting a haul of picks for it. So I think it's another solid position for a team that's rebuilding to be in.
You what? $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. You what? What do you see as a Rondale Moore role being if Pascal is in the slot? Does he get the Isabella treatment? I think it's possible. I think everything's on the table. These teams now, and we're seeing it with these signings, they want bigger players underneath. Can Rondale Moore play outside? I think they're going to use multiple slot receivers, but this is not going to be the air raid offense with 4 and 5 receiver sets. This is going to be 1 to 2 to 3 receiver sets. And I think Rondale Moore, number one, needs to get through camp healthy. I don't think you can project Rondale Moore. I think the Cardinals are wise hedging their bet. Like, hey, Rondale, if you're healthy and you can contribute, we'll put you out there. But the Cardinals lost so many valuable snaps during the season because Rondale Moore wasn't healthy, wasn't ready to play. He hasn't been healthy since his freshman year at Purdue, which I think was 2018. So they're in a position right now where I think anything you get from Rondale Moore, you'll take, maybe as a returner, a gadget player on offense. And I don't mean gadget with Kingsbury. I just mean like he's a role player. He is not a staple of this offense until proven otherwise.
Well, yeah, and hopefully the new regime is going to make him prove it instead of just be gifted it, like the previous coaching staff, just because he was a second-round pick. And I don't think Gannon and Petzing or anybody's going to say, hey, we're just going to give him snaps over guys because he is a second-round pick. But, he is a guy that played outside. If you remember that big play he had against the Rams on 4th down, that was playing on the outside and being, kind of spill it out wide, but then he also did run a bunch of routes in the slot, and you could see maybe 2 slot wide receivers set up as well. Like it's going to be interesting to see what the new offense looks like. There was the one I posted when Zach Pascal was signed. It's like you had your tight end at X, and then you had 2 slot receivers, and then you had one at Z, and that's the kind of stuff that they could maybe go up from Philadelphia in the shotgun formation going forward. I mean, they're going to be a little bit more creative, I think. Adaptive is the word that they like to throw around. But, if they've got 2 guys that can play the slot and do a lot and work the middle of the field, they might create packages that fit that.
Andrew, I missed this, my guy. Pop quiz, Andrew Viney, earlier in the show. What is the most QBs drafted in the top 10 historically? I'm guessing by numbers. How many QBs?
I think it was had to been the Rosen year, right?
Yeah, that year we had Rosen, we had Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield.
Backwards.
Yeah, I'm going down.
Kind of.
I'm going way down. I'm going to say 4 in the top 10 because Lamar went, of course, 32nd to Baltimore.
Yeah, there are 3 mistakes, guys. Quarterbacks drafted in front of Josh Rosen. And then there were 9 mistakes, and then 3 mistakes, and then he was the mistake. And then you had Lamar Jackson at the back end. So they had 5 quarterbacks in that round of 2018.
I stayed up until 3 a.m. that night watching UCLA highlights against Texas A&M, Christian Kirk.
That was the only game.
I thought he was special. I was convinced. It was just disappointing. Has to be the Christian Ponder year. Andrew's saying 3 is the most. I thought it was 4 because Rosen went 10. If we're not including 10, I think it is 3. But if we're including 10, there was 4 that year.
If you say top 10 quarterbacks in the top 10, it's got to be 4.
Yeah. Now we could hit that again this year. We'll see. I think we're definitely going to get 3. And then, hopefully then there's a little bit of a drop off to benefit the Cardinals. Can you guys get us to 300? Or what do you think, Bo?
I think we've done pretty well. I like this. I like 270.
We're getting trashed by
change.
Michaela in the chat. We got trashed by our GM. I love you guys for donating, by the way, to Ryan's house. You guys are selfless, putting in $270 to help benefit.
We
Ryan's
asked for
house.
people to give what they can give, and they gave.
Right.
And like I'm completely content. I love what everybody's donated here. 270 and some change. That is something to be proud of. Thank you so much for donating to Ryan House. It's such a great cause. Open doors, open hearts. You know, they help families facing just unimaginable situations with children and life-limiting or terminal conditions. It's like anything you can give is appreciative. So thank you to everybody out there.
Yeah.
We like to have fun with it, be competitive here. But, you know, if some donator is going to give $420 to the Sun Devils and that's how they're going to win, that's fine. You know, but we had more quantity over quality donations, but everything was quality. Anything we'll take it.
We'll take all of you doing one thing right now, and that's subscribing to the PHNX Cardinals podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Grab your smartphone device, whatever you want to call it. Go into your podcast, search PHNX Cardinals, click that follow button, because Bo and I crank out audio-only pods as well with exclusive insight and information and some comedy that you can't get anywhere else on top of our live shows. At some point, Bo, Brock, and I are going to do an emergency pod. We're able to have a couple cold ones. We're going to celebrate or be pissed about some kind of move. If you're new to the PHNX Cardinals podcast, we did emergency pods on the reg during the season when shit was hitting the fan for all the worst reasons. Mm-hmm. And we thought this offseason would gift us some opportunities for some late night emergency pods, but we haven't gotten those yet. So yeah, that's difficult. Adam H with the $49.99 super chat, super sticker. Adam, God bless you, my man.
From the clouds.
Yeah, it's very appreciative.
Just making it rain. Making it rain for Ryan's house. Is that
and because of that, yeah, I think so. Blaine said no uni updates. Well, I gave out everything I had yesterday. It sounds like they're getting new uniforms. Multiple people have confirmed it now, especially with the helmet, that it's coming. New helmet, white, with some speckles of some silver, maybe a silver face mask, keeping the Cardinal as is. If anybody's got any insight on those uniforms, I am all ears. But at this point, as we said yesterday, I will take what I can get, Bo.
Yeah. Blaine in the chat saying our guy Tyler at Bird Gang Travel claiming he saw the new helmets and wasn't too impressed. But Johnny, you felt like if it's
what I heard, I was fine with it. Listen,
right.
This is what they got going on right now. I mean, they're not getting away from this too much. This got Calais Campbell's signature on it. They're not getting away too much from this. Okay. Yeah. Bill Bidwell, God rest his soul, Michael's father, his late father, who passed away, loved the white helmet. They're not going to get rid of the white helmet as long as the Bidwells own the team. It's expensive to change the logo. So it's like, what can you do to this if you're not going to gut it, right? If you're not going to gut it, you could put a stripe on the top. I don't love that. They're giving it, like we talked about yesterday, they're giving it some pizzazz. They're shaking it up a little bit. And again, I don't think most people are complaining about this. We know what people are complaining about. And it's what goes underneath this helmet. It's the god-awful uniforms with the ugly-ass piping and the outdated early 2000s threads. So, again, they're making some tweaks to this. The aesthetic, I'm told, is similar to the black helmet. Take that for what it will. I am curious as to how the new helmet will play with whatever uniform they're rocking. Yeah. But, again,
you said same aesthetic, right, as the black helmet?
Same aesthetic. Yeah. So, if you were expecting full-sale changes to the helmet, like different color, different bird, different structure, all entirely different, segmented colors, then you are going to be disappointed. But I would have told you even before I heard this, that's not realistic. The Cardinals, for them to change a color scheme and a logo, I mean, like you'd have to gut the entire stadium. You'd have to gut every piece of information or every piece of imagery that they have. And I never saw Michael Bidwell doing that.
No. If it's a similar color scheme and you stick with the white, but it works with whatever you got. As you said yesterday, it's more about the jersey, the pants. That's where the upgrade needs to really happen, where I think there is kind of a classic, it's a staple of the organization dating back to its Chicago days that I think it's important to kind of hold on to. I mean, there is history. There is, I don't know if rich history is the word to use, but it's
certainly history.
It's certainly history, right? And it's something I think that should stay with the organization. I have no problem with them keeping it as the white helmet with the bird. Still, menacing bird. The tweaks that they made back a couple of years ago are fine, but really update the threads, the jersey, and get rid of the piping across the board.
Yeah, it's history. They certainly played those games. It's exciting nonetheless. It's exciting to be talking about it because it's all, anything could change. It's really happening. And that to me is like, that's a win. I'm going to take that as a win. You know how many off seasons I've begged this franchise for new uniforms and it's fallen on deaf ears? And I got to ask Monti Ossenfort to his face at the combine, what's going on with the uniforms?
Yeah.
And then you've got Cardinals head of media relations, Mark Dalton, right behind him. And he's kind of got this smile on his face. Well, maybe he knew something. Like, hey, everybody's going to be pretty excited about what we got going on. That makes me feel good.
Right.
That.
Or he's like, I can't believe he's asking the general manager.
Well, like, who gave this guy a credential? God damn it.
What is
jokers out of here?
You can ask him anything and you want to know about their uniform. The guy that just took over for Steve Keim and the mess that he left. You're asking him about what they're going to be wearing.
Man of the people. 5 minutes before he took the podium, right. I said, "What do you want me to ask Monti?"
You're the red carpet at the Oscars. What are you wearing? What are you wearing this year, Monti? The people, they need to know.
I asked him about Isaiah Simmons too, and God, they didn't answer that either. So the two questions I asked, I think, were two. They're going to take their time. Questions.
He says we got till May. That's not what the Dolphins. That's not the decision they made. They just exercised Tua's fifth-year option, but I think they know a little bit more about Tua, even though he's got the injury history.
$325.59 donated to Ryan's house. You guys are unbelievable. We will put a bow on this podcast after nearly 90 minutes and almost 300 people like this video. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. You guys have made a significant difference for a lot of families out there. We appreciate it, again, from the entire PHNX Cardinal family, from ours to yours. Thank you so much. We will be back mañana, another day to speculate. Get out of here. This is a family show. This is a family program. Mr. Convenience store. Give me those gummies.
My Circle K tasties. Oh, he's gloating because the Sun Devils got one big donor, one big sugar mama, made their day, and what a legend! But you all are legends for donating today. We got it in numbers, and we're so appreciative. Thank you so much. Don't mind what old Shane is boasting about, because we did some great things. We're up over $800 collectively, and that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, every single dime goes to Ryan's house. And thanks to everybody donating. All your comments. Producer Emma wants to say something.
I do. Yeah. Okay. If you didn't get a chance to put in your donation in this show, we do have a couple of other ones going on right now. We do have Diamondbacks going on. We have Suns pre and post game, and then we also have Coyotes post game. So if you didn't get your donation in on Cardinals, you got 4 other chances today.
We support that. We're not we're not competing. Show that wants to have the most. We want, at the end of the day, all the money to go to Ryan's house and have the most money to go. So there you go. We're unselfish. We're team players.
We're only competing against other Cardinal coverage because we're number one. We're having fun. We love you all. It's been a blast. Like and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow. Bo Brack, Johnny Venerable. Bye.